Okay, we're here in lovely Manor, Texas with Kevin Curry, the founder of CityCamp, and talking a little bit about what we've seen here today so far. What are some high-level takeaways from the morning?
So I just came from a session sitting around with Alyssa Black from Code for America and the mayor and the city administrator for City of DeLeon. Gotta get that right. And what I'm really fascinated about is that they're generally receptive to this. I would really kind of expect this to be like, way out from left field. Here's San Francisco, New York, and big cities coming in with all this technology, and in a small town they have $1 million budget. So what I'm really fascinated about is that these groups are genuinely interested in generally receptive to the information that they're getting, and they really want to learn, and they see how it's going to make a more effective, more efficient government. So, I mean, just watching that happen is really fascinating.
Now, when you say receptive to this, what do you mean?
They're getting a lot of See, Click, Fix, Open 311, citizen engagement, Facebook, ideation labs. There's jargon flying around. And I wasn't quite sure how these towns were going to receive that, and I think that they're open-minded and they're engaged and they're asking questions, and so that's what I mean.
So if you throw those all together, is that like a local open government toolkit? Is that a good way to describe this stuff?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, if you're talking about the technology, or
the technology, the change in culture is a bit harder, right?
Yeah. So the technology is always really easy. It's the change management and change in culture that's more difficult. But it's like I said, they're up for it.
So one of the changes in culture we've seen that actually the White House Deputy CTO is here to talk about is this trying to shift towards open government, towards looking towards citizens as partners, trying to empower them in different ways to participate in government. A harder thing to do than just transparency per se, where you're posting data online, although that can also be very difficult with older systems. What were some of your takeaways from what she had to say in the Q&A that followed?
So I was really excited to see their interest in what's happening down at the state and local level, because I've said many times that local government is where citizens connect to their government on a day-to-day basis. I think she really sees that this is the grassroots of the Open Government Initiative, and the federal government. While there are a lot of wonderful things happening there, and there's a lot of like you say, open data, open APIs, and a bunch of push from the administration to overhaul agencies. It's refreshing to see that they're interested in what's happening down here and where people live, right? So this is government where people live, and to see them have interest in that, that's very encouraging.
So you've been really highly involved at the local level, specifically with something called CityCamp. Can you explain what that is and what's happening with that?
Okay, so CityCamp is an unconference focused on innovation for municipal governments and community organizations. And so as an unconference, they also call it a bar camp. That's where the camp comes from. It's designed to be participatory. So the program is not set up by a committee who decides what the tracks are going to be and what the topics are going to be. The program is decided by the participants who come, so they can bring their issues to the table. And it's really about getting people to the table to have those conversations. In fact, Greg Vick, who's from the city of Elgin over here, he asked me if they were the same as focus groups, and I wasn't really quite sure because I wasn't that familiar with them. But he explained to me, and I think they really are. They're kind of like focus groups, and so it's key to get local government and citizens, journalists, designers, get them to the table and let them talk through the issues, right? So that they're not talking past each other. I shared that example of See, Click, Fix, right? So in my town, I submitted See, Click, Fix, and the city came back to me and says, I don't want you to use See, Click, Fix, and a bunch of other people glommed onto the comments and said, well, we want you to use See, Click, Fix. And so CityCamp is saying, okay, time out. Let's come to the table and work through, what are the desires on both sides of the fence, what are the problems on both sides of the fence, and just work through them.
So it's not just talking, though, to some extent. There actually are things that come out of these camps.
Yeah, that's a big thing for me, right? So it's all about action-oriented outcomes. So, we might, as a result of observing in my hometown of Virginia Beach that this is an issue, we would put that on the agenda for the CityCamp, and we'd sit around and talk about it, and we'd come up with, okay, how are we going to fix this? And we didn't do it through a camp environment, but I did talk to my city there, and we discovered that, okay, there's problems with C-Click Fix, but there's an opportunity over in 311. So they had a bunch of 311 data. They have no ability to track or trend what's happening. So where are 311 calls coming from? What kind are they? But they want that, right? So there's going to be people in the room who can give that to them. And so if they talk about it and they say, okay, after this event, we're going to connect you with these developers who can help solve that problem.
So if people want to get involved in a CityCamp, how can they find out if there's one near them and where?
Okay, so they go to CityCamp.GovFresh.com and go to the About page to find out what city camps are all about. You can go to the Start a Camp page to figure out how you would start one if you want to. The first thing that it says on there is join the community and introduce yourself. So there's a forum at eDemocracy, but you can find all this on the homepage. And there's a cities tab that kind of keeps trying to keep track of where they're all happening. Basically, go to CityCamp.GovFresh.com and all the information's there.
All right. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.